Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of our special 2022 LinkedIn Live series. I'm Parker, one of the co-founders of Scholars, and super excited to be on this journey with you all through 2022 as we focus this LinkedIn Live series on really talking about all things early career candidate experience, engagement, and retention. We know in the current climate and market that we're in, early career candidates are entertaining other offers, even if they've accepted an offer for an internship or a full-time position with our company. And our goal in these conversations is to shed some light on what we're hearing from industry partners and leaders in the space that are thinking about how they can transform their candidate experience to truly maximize their engagement, but also minimize and prevent any sort of reneges or turnover from affecting their teams. Once again, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. I will be monitoring those as we have this conversation with you all today. And as well, if you have any thoughts or ideas around what you would like to see talked about on these LinkedIn Lives, you have questions that you want answered, or if you want to come on the show and be a co-host with me on this LinkedIn Live, please DM me. I'm super interested in having peers and leaders in the space come and have a conversation and a dialogue about questions that you have related to early career candidate experience. So on today's show, what we're going to be covering are 4 words to think about as your team is planning and strategizing your candidate experience strategy. These are 4 words that we recommend all of our partners incorporate into their thought process as they're laying out every aspect of their candidate communication so that your team and their teams are leaps and bounds ahead of the curve in delivering an experience to your interns or new grad hires that are truly delivering something that is top of the notch and top level for you all to help ultimately prevent reneges and minimize turnover from occurring in your early career candidate hiring. So with that, let's dive into the first word that I always recommend teams think about as they're crafting their candidate experience is transparency. Transparency. What are the expectations that you've set forth for candidates about what is coming to them in the future and what they can expect in their candidate journey with your company? Being as open as possible with them is going to ensure that they have a clear line of sight for where they are going and what they're doing that is going to set them up for success at that next step in their candidate journey. Examples are outlining who they might be working with. If your plan is to convert them, talk to them about what they can do to set themselves up for success to get a full-time offer after their internship. Maybe even who their manager is, if you know who their manager is. And even more importantly, if you don't know who their manager is yet, let them know that that is coming down the pipeline, that is in the works. And as soon as you know who their manager will be, you're going to be able to connect them with that manager as well, so that they have kind of a clear understanding of where they're at in the process. Lastly, be transparent about the skills that you're expecting for them to have. Obviously, if you've already hired them and they've accepted an offer, that should have come up in the interview process. But if you haven't and a candidate is in your talent community or is in your interview process, be transparent about those skills and be transparent after they've accepted an offer about any additional things that they can do from a skills development standpoint that is going to help them out. If you can incorporate transparency into every step of your candidate experience, I think it's going to go a long way for your candidates as well as your team in helping prevent and minimize any sort of reneges or turnover that might occur. The second word that I want to advocate for teams to think about is empowerment. This generation of early career candidates want to feel like they are in the driver's seat for their candidate experience. So we should give them the tools to feel as if they're empowering and putting themselves on a path for success that relates to ultimately their goals and objectives. I know this can be easier said than done because obviously there are things as an employer that we need from candidates, but how can we get what we need from the candidates at every stage of their candidate journey with our company, but also make them feel as if they are empowering their own path their own career trajectory and are in that driver's seat for their growth with your company. If they've accepted an offer, ask them how often they want to be communicated with before their start date. If they're in their interview process, ask them what times are best for them to meet at every stage of your interview process. And if they're in your program, ask them if they want any sort of cross-functional development, if there are things that they're looking to get out of your internship that might not be incorporated into your program, to again make them feel as if they are in the driver's seat for their experience with your company, and provide them the tools to succeed at whatever stage that they are at. And you'll be amazed at the response that you get utilizing feedback mechanisms to understand how that feeling of empowerment goes a long, long way towards helping drive engagement and helping your team minimize any sort of lack of engagement or reneges that might occur in your process. The third word I want to advocate as we think about crafting our candidate experience is personalization. Personalization can be tough to achieve at scale. So what can we do? What systems and tools can we have in place to ensure that we can scale this personalization component in our candidate experience? How are we making candidates feel as if that we're tailoring every piece of communication and every step in their candidate journey with our company to them, to their role, to their demographic, to their age, you name it, the list goes on and on. But something as simple as if we are crafting messaging to a cohort of candidates, what can we do in the simple wording or of the copy to make it feel as if that message is tailored to them as the individual themselves? Some examples of personalization at every stage of the experience can be handwritten notes, videos from specific managers for interns, you name it. At the end of the day, I think if we can think about our candidate experience as if we would want to be communicated with, we would want it to be personal, right? So why wouldn't we be striving towards achieving, delivering that personalization for candidates as they're going through our process in their candidate journey with our company? The fourth and final word that I want to advocate teams think about conceptually as they're strategizing their candidate experience to help prevent reneges is consistency. Consistency is key in making sure that our brand is staying top of mind and providing relevant information. A question that you're probably thinking about is, who owns that consistency? Well, that's something that you need to be strategizing about before a candidate enters your candidate journey. People on your team need to know who owns what communication at every stage. Obviously, we know who owns interview process communication and onboarding and program management. Who owns post-offer acceptance engagement? Who owns a personalized, empowering, and transparent talent community engagement? You see where I'm going with this? All of these words can be put together at every stage of their candidate journey with your company. So where do we apply these 4 words? A few ideas that we have that we see teams think about as they're conceptualizing their recruitment funnel and their candidate journey: talent community engagement, interview process, post-offer acceptance engagement, onboarding, your intern program, and then converted intern communication. All of these use cases, we can apply transparency, empowerment, personalization, and consistency to. And if we do that, what we're going to be doing is providing a transformative candidate experience that this generation of early career candidates is looking for from an employer. And they're looking for so that they aren't trying to entertain other offers. And so at the end of the day, if you haven't thought about these 4 words in your conceptualization and strategy of your candidate experience, I advocate for you to. Now you're probably asking yourself, well, where do I begin? A simple exercise that we always advocate for some of our scholars partners to do is to use a simple like whiteboard formula or exercise to break down your candidate journey from start to finish. How in our candidate journey at different stages are we executing and delivering those 4 words that we've talked about today at every stage of that process? For every use case, state how the word applies to some component of that specific candidate experience at that part of your recruitment funnel. If you haven't fulfilled all 4 of those keywords, then you're missing out on an opportunity to deliver an engaging experience. And I advocate for you to think about what those 4 words can truly do for your candidates, who are ultimately our end goal here and our end user, but also for our recruiting team to know and feel confident in we are empowering, personalizing, consistently communicating, and being as transparent as possible. Again, 4 words to help incorporate and conceptualize and strategize an experience that's going to help prevent reneges. I advocate for teams, if you don't know where to begin, use the whiteboard formula that we talked about today as well to start to kind of lay a blueprint and a foundation for what that experience is going to be like from the candidate's perspective. Again, I'm super excited. Tomorrow, we are hosting our monthly webinar about scaling your mentorship program. Mentorship plays a huge factor in your early career retention formula. And scaling a mentorship program can be difficult to think about. So what we're doing tomorrow on our event is strategizing and talking with early career leaders and peers in the space. I'm going to be bringing in some data to the conversation and just having an open forum discussion about what successful teams are doing to scale their mentorship, what questions other teams might have about mentorship, and ultimately, how does it circle back to our retention formula, and how are we tracking that data to relate towards how we're minimizing and preventing any sort of early career reneges or turnover. I will be dropping the registration link in the comments. If you're watching this, I strongly advocate for you to come and join. It's a super easy knowledge sharing conversation, and I am super excited about who we've already had registered and look forward to anyone else who might want to register as well. I'm Parker, one of the co-founders of Scholars. We help teams deliver personalized candidate experiences at scale to help predict and prevent turnover. We love early career candidate experience. That's what we're passionate about. And at the end of the day, if you have questions, comments, things that you want to talk about, please reach out to me. I love having conversations with peers in the space, learning from others, and trying to bring our industry data into conversations. Check out our website, our LinkedIn. We've got some awesome templates and resources that are free for teams thinking about how they can strategize an experience that's going to help drive maximum engagement. And we will see you all next week on our LinkedIn Live series again next Tuesday. And maybe if you register for the event for a mentorship, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, everyone.